anaphylactic shock, yeah. I knew a lady years ago that was so allergic to honeybees that she had to carry, I don't know if they call it an EpiPen then, but she had to carry epinephrine with her all the time. If she was stung, she had to inject that because that counteracts this inflammation, decreases the permeability of the caps and all that. Constricts the blood flow, and it helps come out of the shock. But doctors told her, well, she did almost die from one bee sting. Doctors told her after that, you carry this with you, because if you're stung again, you may not make it. People every year die from an allergic response to various things, including venomous creatures like honeybees. You may be, not everybody's that allergic. If I'm stung by a bee, I'll get a little swelling, a little pain, nothing. At least every time I've been stung, it's just, pain and swelling, but nothing severe. Other people can get stung and go into shock and actually die. Years ago, the figure was, and I'm not sure what it is today with our population increasing, but this was 25, 30 years ago. I was at a seminar. A man was talking about bee venom. Medical uses for it, how we could get some good medical uses for it because it's a complicated fluid that has some useful products. I think there's something like 30 or so chemicals in bee venom that can, some of which can be useful. But he says that at that time, worldwide, we're talking about over the entire world, not just this country, there were around 50,000 fatalities a year from bee stings. But that would not be for everybody. That would be for those that are allergic to the bee sting. It doesn't have to be a bee sting. It can be other things you're allergic to too. My brother goes into the doctor, gets a penicillin shot. I guess he never knew he was allergic to it. Almost died. What did they give him to recover and not die? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, epinephrine, adrenaline. He almost died from that penicillin. Thank God he was in the doctor's office when that. So they knew right away there was something bad wrong, and they knew probably what was wrong. So a lot of things you can be allergic to, and they can relate both directly and indirectly to this problem right here. Keeping the balance, that's the key. Keep the balance going. And just this is a summary. I keep repeating stuff over and over again, but I'd like you to look at things differently, not only the drawing, but a summary and the introduction. And it was not an easy process to follow. So, what do you think? A little bit of feeling for it? Or? I know you'll have questions as we review for the test, or anytime you can ask the question. So remember, the excess fluid enters the lymphatic system, which will be our next topic of discussion. Pardon me?
Okay, it says capillaries filter more than they reabsorb. I thought they had to be equal. Reabsorption and
well, no. The point I'm trying to make here is capillaries filter more than they can reabsorb, so the excess goes into the lymphatic system. About 15% goes lymphatic. If there were no lymphatic system, remember, if you block lymph flow, you can't pick up enough fluids and you will swell. I know a lady one time who had breast cancer, and she had a lot of lymph nodes and so on removed, and her arms swelled tremendously from lymphedema over time. So, the worm I was talking about, what is the disorder that can develop from this worm blocking lymph flow where the appendages get very big? Elephantiasis, yeah. If you go into micro, you'll know about that one. I think they go through those worm parasites. So the thing of edema gets very complicated. There are different causes of it, either blood or lymph related. So that's the point I'm trying to make here. I'm sorry I didn't explain that to you. So if we can, let's go ahead and look at quickly at the problems here. What do you call this? High blood pressure. Where does this start? I don't mean the part of your body, I mean where are the numbers?
140 over 90.
40 over 90, yeah. A lot of causes of it. Most of them are just family related. That arterial blood pressure goes above 140 over 90, then as I said, you can also get hypertension from just having systolic, the high number going too high, too. If you have a normal diastolic and a high systolic, and still have a type of high blood pressure. And over a period of time, high blood pressure can overwork the heart, damage your blood vessels and other organs of the body, can prove to be fatal. What's an aneurysm? A bulging, or you could say ballooning or bulging artery that is weakened. And if these things rupture, then if it's a significant artery, then you can die very quickly from it. Like if you had an abdominal aortic aneurysm and it ruptured, chances are you die very quickly. A stroke, a brain attack. CVA stands for, and I forgot the other. The parentheses on this. CVA stands for. Now get this straight, because some students call it cardiovascular. It's cerebro-brain vascular blood vessel accident. And there are two kinds of strokes, generally speaking. Embolic, what does that mean? Clot. Thrombus, a clot blocking the brain artery. This can cause permanent damage to the brain, and depending on the extent of the damage, various degrees of loss of function. Or even death, you know, if it's severe enough. Hemorrhagic stroke, what does that mean? Bleeding in the brain. Like you could have an aneurysm that was undetected and could rupture and cause severe problems, even death. I had a young girl in my class. She was in her 20s. Started having severe headaches. Came to find out she had a brain aneurysm. Thank God they found it before it went. Apparently survived the surgery, and I don't know where she is today, of course. That's been 25, 30 years ago. A relative of mine, not a blood relative, but a relative had the same situation. He started having severe headaches and found a brain aneurysm and repaired it. Some people aren't so lucky. My sister had one and died from it. She had an aneurysm in her, and you know what I'm talking about by now, probably the anterior cerebral artery. Feeds a frontal lobe into blue. She died instantly from it. Claudication. Is that problems with a person named Claude or what? Yes?
Are there usually warning signs? Like usually warning signs?
Not always. But if you have the warning signs and you heed them and you get medical treatment, then yes, it's possible to treat the aneurysm.
Just happen out of nowhere, like no signs of it or anything like that?
Oh yeah, I mean the people that have aneurysms sometimes don't even know it until it's too late. Yeah, I had a cousin that didn't know he had one, and he died instantly from ruptured. I don't know if it was a brain. I forget if it was brain or aorta or something. But other times, aortic aneurysms can cause intense pain too. Just as cerebral ones can cause headaches and so on.
Are there certain things that cause that kind of thing? Like certain things you do? Or
Well, there are combinations of things that can cause it. Heredity. Some people just have weaker vessels. Abusing yourself by diet or smoking. High blood pressure is particularly a culprit in that respect. Age. As you get older, of course, your arteries aren't quite as strong and supple, so they can. But with my sister, with hers, there's been no history of aneurysms in my family that I can remember. With her, I think it was high blood pressure. Chain smoker. I don't think she took her medication the way she should. And there she died. So there are a lot of causes. A lot of it's hereditary. A tendency toward developing these things. Claudication is a reduction of blood flow to the limbs, particularly the legs. I had a secretary who, due to build up of plaque and so on in the arteries, she had such a problem with claudication, intermittent claudication as they called it then, that she could not walk from the office to the food center, and then stop and rest because of the intense pain in her legs due to that reduction in blood flow. So blockage of vessels in the extremities, particularly the legs, and reduction in blood flow, it's called claudication. Not a problem with the name Claude, it's a circulatory problem. So high blood pressure, a bulging artery, which can be dangerous if it ruptures, a stroke, which can be caused by a clot in the brain, or hemorrhaging in the brain. Some people have minor strokes and recover to a great extent from them. And so the amount of damage, where it is in the brain, and so on. Others die from it. Deep venous thrombosis. What's a thrombosis? Clot inside the vessel. A deep venous thrombosis is a deep vein as opposed to a superficial vein. You can get them in superficial veins too. They're far less dangerous. If you get a clot, let's say, in your femoral artery or any other main artery, femoral artery, I'm sorry, vein I meant to say, because we're talking about venous thrombosis, John. If you get a clot, let's say, in your femoral vein or some other large deep vein, that can build up, and if a portion of that clot dislodges, where's it going to go? Up to the right atrium, down through your tricuspid valve, out through the pulmonary trunk, into your lungs. And if that clot is large enough, it can block flow to the lungs, sufficient to cause death. And that's called what? Not physical education, PE. Pulmonary edema. That's what it's called. Embolism. My brain is not working. I'm just really pulmonary embolism. There is edema too. There's swelling in your lungs too. Fluid building up. That's not the thing. It's pulmonary embolism. A blockage of blood flow to the lungs can be fatal. What is phlebitis? Phleb means veins. Itis means anytime you see the suffix itis as inflammation of whatever vein you're talking about. In this case, veins. What does that leave you more prone to? Clots. You don't necessarily have to have phlebitis to cause it. One thing that can cause a deep venous thrombosis, besides being inflamed veins, can be sitting too long. Like long plane flights and stuff like that. I had a member of my family that happened to. If you remember, some of you are old enough to remember a vice president by the name of Dan Quayle.
Yes.
I can't even remember, was it Reagan's vice president or one of them? Bush's vice president. He was riding in an airplane, flying a long flight in an airplane. He got a clot in his leg. There was a man in the Iraqi war, I think the last